Everybody, welcome back to Fifield Junction and welcome back to the episode of Meet the Fleet. In today's episode we're going to be focusing on the loadhaul, transrail and mainline locos that can be found on the way out. Moving on a little bit in time now compared to the previous episodes when we mainly focused on the sort of sectorisation liveries, civil engineers, rail freight and a bit of large logo as well. A little bit later in time now with these liveries are sort of mid to late 1990s, whereas before we were sort of late 80s, early 90s. So moving on a little bit now. I suppose some of the liveries that we have done so far, they did last for a little while and they could still be seen around this time, but it was certainly more around this time, again, sort of mid to late 1990s, and where these liveries that we're going to be looking at today were sort of a bit more commonplace and were also sort of coming about as well. So hopefully it should be a bit different for some of you as well. Maybe even some of you might prefer these liveries compared to what we've seen previously. It should be a bit of a shorter episode as well. I don't think the fleet I've got for today is quite as big as what I've done previously, so it shouldn't take up as much time as what we've done before. So I think without wasting any more time, I think we should get into the video and start looking at some more locos. So to kick things off, we've got this Hornby Class 60. This is 60005 Skidor, and it's in the triple grey livery with the Transrail branding. I don't think Transrail actually ever had a proper livery, as in they fully repainted an entire loco, a bit like Loadhaul and Mainline did. I'm pretty sure Transrail were only ever seen either on sort of triple grey liveries like this, where they just basically rebranded the triple grey, or I think they're also seen on the Civil Engineers Dutch as well, the grey and yellow liveries. They also just branded those up as well. I'm pretty sure they never had, they never actually had a proper full-on livery for their locos. So if you ever saw the Transrail livery, this is what it would likely have been like. It would have just been triple grey with their branding or something like that. So it might have been, there were a few different liveries that could be seen with their branding, but they certainly never had a full entire sort of livery, if you like, for their locos. But anyway, going back to the loco itself, this particular model, it's not massively old. I think it does date back around 10 years or so, maybe a little bit more. But it's not mega old. It's not the original Hornby Class 60, if you like, when they sort of first came out. It is a little bit later on in the Hornby Class 60's life this model was done. It's a factory fitted sound model as well with a lock sound V4 select decoder. And I have also upgraded the speaker in this one to an EM1 speaker, so we get some nice loud bassy sound from this model now, which obviously you do get from the 60 anyway in real life, nice big bassy diesels. So I thought that fitting one of those speakers would be nice and appropriate for it. It certainly does. I got this loco, I think it was nearly 2 years ago now, from Model Rail Scotland 2023, I think it was. I think that's where I got it from. And I think I paid about £180 for it, or something like that, which is certainly not a bad value, in my opinion, for a sound-fitted model. And overall, I don't think I've had any issues with it. I think it's served me very well for the time that I've had it. Runs very well, nice and smooth, very consistent runner, very strong as well, as you'd expect from the Hornby Class 60. It's been detailed at one end as well, so we've got the nice pipe work and everything on one end as well. And yeah, as I said, very reliable loco. Don't think I've had any issues with it. A very good loco overall. Sound file as well is very good. The Hornby factory sound file for the 60, it's certainly not the best, but it's certainly not bad either. It still does the job, and certainly with the right speaker, such as the EM1 I've got on here, it does sound very, very good. So yeah, overall, a very good loco. Up next we have another Hornby Class 60, but this particular one is in the triple grey mainline livery, and this model is also much older than the 60 that we've just seen. This one is probably around, I would say, 7 to 8 years older than the one we've just looked at. So this is sort of from the original batch, if you like, of Hornby Class 60s, so sort of around when Hornby first released their premium model of the Class 60. I think this is the particular touring that loco comes from. It's 60077, sorry. I'm not sure why it's missing the mainline branding on one side. It could just be, again, with how old this model is. It was purchased second hand as well. It could just be that a previous owner has removed it. It's still got the mainline branding on the other side, but for some reason it's missing on this side. So I'm not too sure if the loco actually comes like that or not. But either way, it's still not a bad model by any means. Still, for the most part, similar to the one we've just seen, apart from probably a few differences in terms of the sort of electrics inside. So this has got a different circuit board inside. the way that the lights are connected to the chassis as well is different. So I believe these have the old sort of spring-loaded contacts, if you like, whereas on the other model, the other model might have the same ones, actually I'm not too sure, but I know some of the later versions have an actual sort of a plug connection to actually attach the lights, and there's even a couple of variations of that as well, I think. So there's quite a few different sort of electrical sort of designs for this Hornby Class 60, but they're not massive. They're not massively different for the most part in other areas. Overall, it's not a bad model by any means. I have had a little bit of a headache with this one when I originally got it, but it wasn't sort of unknown. And with this being a second-hand model, I did know that it probably would need a little bit of work here and there to get it run properly. And indeed it did. When I first got it, it ran like rubbish. It was really, really sort of slow and really underpowered. So it did need a really sort of deep clean and a really good service and a good run to get it back running to the standards that you'd normally expect from one of these. It's still a little bit iffy here and there, can still be a little bit noisy here and then, but a lot better than it was previously. I believe I got this loco from the Great Electric Train Show last year. Actually, I think that's where this one came from. I think I paid about £90 for it or something like that, so which isn't overly bad, to be honest, for one of these. Hornby Class 60 can easily be worth well over £100 these days, even on second-hand markets. So getting one for £90 certainly not too bad. And to be fair, these particular ones can go for slightly less than other models. It mostly depends on livery, is a big factor in prices of models these days. I fitted it with an 8-pin Train-O-Matic decoder. I think that's what I put in this one, so that I can run it on DTC and to get it to run nice and smoothly as well. And yeah, certainly overall, with the work that I've done to it, it does run very nicely now. Again, still a little bit noisy here and there, but still overall not a bad model by any means. Still very good. I've also detailed it at one end as well, so we've got the usual sort of details, pipe work and everything fitted to one end, and then it's got the usual tension lock coupler at the other end as well. And yeah, it's overall a very nice model. Probably not my favourite of the Hornby Class 60s that I've got, but still a very nice loco nonetheless. So next up we have not one but two locomotives, and this is my pair of loadhaul Class 37s. This is a special edition pack that Bachmann did a little while ago now, when they used to do double packs of Class 37s, of which they have done a few of in different liveries. I think all of them were a special edition to model rail or something like that. So either way, they're all special edition packs, and again, this is one of them. They're not the easiest things to come by, but they do come up here and there, and they're certainly not the rarest things to come up online. So if you do want this pack, then it shouldn't be overly hard for you to find one. It just depends when one comes up or not, and here and where they come up. Overall, it's a very nice pack. I think I paid about £220. And for this particular pack, I think I got them, I think it was sometime last year, but I could be wrong. But I have had them for a little while now, I'm pretty sure. Overall, it's a very nice pair of 37s. One of them is 37713, and the other one is a 37884. And yeah, overall, a very nice pair of locomotives. These are sort of the standard 21-pin tooling that Bachmann used to do a few years ago now, which has obviously been replaced by their new Plux 22 tooling. But despite that, I suppose being the old Class 37 now, still a very nice pair of locomotives. This particular tooling of the Bachmann 37 is personally my favourite. I know it's probably not the most detailed or most accurate, but I just like them just because of sort of how easy they are to work on and open up and sort of do bits too. And just for that reason, I just sort of prefer these over the newer tooling. But I suppose that's to be expected with the newer tooling being a more premium model compared to these. But despite that, still not much to complain about them with, in my opinion. Both have been chipped with DCC Concepts AE decoders as well. So both run very, very smoothly now and are relatively quiet as well. And yeah, overall, as I said, not much to complain about. Very nice pair of locomotives. Haven't had any issues with them whatsoever. Both have ran basically perfectly since I got them, and even when I first got them and took them out of the box and tested them, there was no issues with them there. They both ran very, very well, which doesn't always happen with second-hand locomotives. So sometimes you can get them, they can be pretty rubbish in terms of performance, a bit like the Class 60 that we just looked at. But yeah, overall, not much to complain about with these. A very nice pair of locomotives, certainly one that I recommend if you sort of model these sort of mid 1990s with these sort of liveries. Yeah, I think that would be a nice addition to any layout. So up next we have another pair of Batman Class 37s, and this is another twin pack that Batman have done, and this consists of 37798 in the mainline blue livery and 37702 in the transrail triple grey livery. I think this was the first double pack that I bought of the Batman 37s. Obviously similar to the loadhaul pack that we've just looked at, this was also a sort of a limited edition, special edition double pack that Batman did. I can't remember, I think this one might be older than the loadhaul one, but I could be wrong on that. Both these locos, I can't remember where I got them from. I think I got this pack. I think this might have been another pack off eBay that I got, but again, I'm not too sure because of how long I had them. I think I paid about £250 for them, something like that. I could be wrong. So not quite as good a deal as the loadhaul pack that we just saw, but still overall not too bad in my opinion. These packs can easily command sort of close to the £300 mark these days. It sort of just depends where you go to and where you buy them from. I think these particular locos, I can't remember having any issues with them when I got them. I'm pretty sure that these are similarly to the loadhaul pack have also served me very well pretty much right from the start. The mainline one has also been shipped with a DCC Concepts AE decoder, similarly to the loadhaul ones that we just saw. But the transrail one, I ended up fitting TTS sound to this model. This has got a Hornby TTS decoder in it, which has been done via a 21-pin to 8-pin converter chip, if you like, that you can buy. And then the Hornby 8-pin TTS decoder is then fitted into that. Then I've also upgraded the speaker as well to an iPhone speaker to get some slightly better quality sound at the loco. And overall, I think it's been a very worthy install. Certainly sounds rather good. Obviously, they're not the best decoders in the world, the Hornby TTS decoders. There are better sound decoders out there you can buy. About the time, I had it as a spare decoder, and I thought, you know what, I might as well fit it to a loco. And this is the loco, and I ended up fitting it to. So I think I ended up doing a sort of demonstration to some fellow modelers with this. I think I at a local club or something. I think I did a sort of sound install demonstration with this model. And that's one of the reasons this loco ended up getting the sound. So I think it was sort of a combined thing. I think I ended up demonstrating sort of a normal DCC fitting with this one, and then demonstrated sound fitting to an extent, I suppose, with this particular loco. So that's why they've got different decoders in them. They haven't got the same decoder in them. But either way, still a very nice pair of locomotives. Both run very, very well. And just like the loadhaul pack, I don't think there's much that I can really complain about with these. Still a very nice pair of locomotives. Liveries are very, very nice. Have been done very, very well. And yeah, overall, I think just like the loadhaul one, this would make a very good pack for any sort of mid-90s layout. So next up, we jump back over ship to Hornby, and this is the Hornby Loadhaul Class 56. This particular one is 56003. I think this is the most recent addition to this particular fleet of the Loadhaul Transrail and mainline locos. I don't think I've bought any more of them since this one. And to be fair, this one was quite a recent addition. I think it was purchased earlier this year actually. So yeah, certainly not been here incredibly long. Overall, it's a very nice loco. I don't think I've had really any issues with it. So I think I've done the usual sort of things and I do with these Hornby 56s, such as disconnecting the working fans. This particular model is quite old. It's the original tooling Hornby Class 56, so it had the working fans, which I've disconnected, because they can cause issues with running, not always, but personally I always find that the loco that has these fitted runs a lot better if they've been disconnected, so that's what I did with this one. I think price wise, I can't remember exactly what I paid for it actually. I think it was somewhere around £90. It could have been less than that. It might have even been somewhere around the £70 mark. Yeah, I can't fully remember how much she was, but either way, I think she was a very good deal. This particular loco, it's not the most common Class 56 that you see from Hornby. I think this is the only premium, if you like, Class 56 in load haul that Hornby have done. I don't think they've actually done one since releasing this model, probably close to coming up to 20 years ago now, maybe. Probably not quite that long, but certainly it's probably maybe more sort of 16, 17 years ago, late 2000 sort of time, I suppose, around there. And yeah, for some reason they haven't released another 56 in this livery since then, so a bit of an odd choice. And because of that, this particular model doesn't come up an awful lot. You can find it here and there, but it's certainly not the most common loco to come up for sale. So if you're looking for one of these, it might not be make or easy. It can sort of depend on sort of time that you might look for it, or where you look for it. But either way, it's still a very nice model. The Hornby Class 56 is a very nice model in my opinion. It's very well detailed, and I've also added the usual buffer beam detail to the end as well. So I've got all of the pipe work and everything fitted there. I think decoder wise, I think this has got a Gauge Master decoder in it. I think that's what I fitted. Again, it's been a little while since I've done it, so I can't fully remember, but I'm pretty sure it was a sort of spare Gauge Master decoder that I had lying around that went into this loco. And to be fair, overall, I'm not a massive fan of the Gauge Master decoders, but the one that's in this loco certainly does seem to perform very well. She's a very smooth, very quiet runner, certainly a lot better than some of the other locos that I've got. So I think overall, certainly performance-wise, certainly not one to complain about. I think the previous owner has also weathered the underframe on this model as well, so she's got some nice sort of dirt and everything on the underframe. Not much on the body though, so maybe that's something I might add in the future. But yeah, either way, a very nice loco. I think the load haul livery suits the 56 very well. I suppose as plain as it is, it's not the most complex livery, but it certainly does suit locos very well in my opinion. It does look very good. I think whatever loco you look at that you put it on. And so yeah, overall, certainly a good loco, certainly a worthy addition, and that's the Hornby Class 56 in load haul. Okay, so last but no means least, we have another Hornby Class 60, and this particular one is in the triple grey load haul livery, so I suppose you could call this the more basic version of the load haul livery if you like. This particular model is a 60070, and it's the most modern of the Hornby Class 60s that we've seen so far today. I say most modern, it's the most recent release anyway, out of the three that we've seen, also including this one. I think this one probably isn't even 5 years old, to be honest. It's certainly not been around for overly long. It's definitely only been out for certainly only a few years. So if you want this particular loco, it shouldn't be too hard to get hold of. I always see loads of them about online and on various sort of model shop websites as well. So certainly not a hard loco to get hold of by any means if you want one. I think I got this loco, I think it was sometime last year I got it, and it came second hand from Rail to Sheffield, I believe. I didn't even pay £100 for it. It was literally just under the £100 mark. This cost, so very good value of money for there for sure. So I actually can't complain about that. Tooling wise, it's as I say, it's the most modern version of the Hornby Class 60. Obviously, there is a new version of the Hornby 60 coming out, but I say new version very loosely because it's literally just got a new 21-pin socket on board. But apart from that, nothing else has really changed. So I think this particular tooling, this particular loco is sort of the very last of the 8-pin versions of the Hornby Class 60, if you like, certainly towards the end of the 8-pin sort of tooling, if you like, for these. And from what I can remember, I don't think I've had any issues with it. Like most of the locos from today, it was just one of those, for the most part, just out the box and onto the loud, pretty much. Decoder-wise, it's been fitted with an 8-pin Batman decoder. So it runs very well, very smooth and very consistent runner. The Batman decoders normally do give a very good performance, and this one is certainly no exception. Detail wise as well, it's also had the buffer beam detail added to one end, like most locos normally do. And then it's got the usual tension lock coupling on the other end as well, which is the usual sort of kinematic type that Hornby have on a lot of their diesels. And I'm not always the biggest fan of kinematic couplings, but when they do work well. But when they don't work, yeah, they can certainly cause headaches. And I do have a few coaches and locos that can be a bit fussy at times with those kinematics. But this loco, what I can remember, the handful of times that it has hauled a train, doesn't cause any issues at all. The kinematics move very smoothly, and so yeah, I think certainly for that reason and what I've mentioned previously, this is definitely one of the more reliable locos, I would say, out of the fleet. A very good loco, very good performer, and I would certainly say it's a very good addition to any mid-90s layout.